there wasn't a private practice that had a black male therapist that were working to specifically work with black men and black women. And that was unheard of at the point. I never heard of that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to see what happens. But that was my second business. I had a business before that. So but prior to that, I was into customizing cars and detailing cars and, putting plastic dip or wraps on cars and stuff like that with my homeboys. So that I was doing that in grad school. And so my heart for business and entrepreneurship has always been consistent. I'm always looking at how can I make this a business? My wife always tells me like, yo, you trying to make everything a business. I'm like, yeah, because there's money to be made there. There's a gap there. There's not enough of us there, all that. Right. And so when I got into social work and I looked around and I saw what I wanted to do. I saw it wasn't there and I saw I had to create it. I said, well, we're going to figure out and create it. And I did create a successful private practice, and of which I stepped away from because it got, too much at the time. I was teaching. I had just got into clinical supervision. I just had my second child, my son, he had came through. So I had to pivot really quickly because of, family dynamics, right? And so I have two kids. I have a wife, I have a family to take care of it. So that kind of comes into the fold. But if I was still like, just single or I just had me and my wife, I'd probably still be hustling on the entrepreneurship side to make ends meet. But as a result of that, I also thought about, I'm always following business owners. I'm always thinking, having brainstorms with other my colleagues and folks who are in business and things like that. And I said, well, how can I create different variations of myself to address the problem that I want to solve? I'm very passionate about black mental health, very passionate about black men and their mental health, right? And so I'm going to try to figure out different ways on how to give that information out while still trying to solve my problem. So I did it by the private practice. I did it by the Goodfellas Project, which was that black men support group. I did it by podcasting, right? I did it by books. And I do it by speaking. And now it's kind of shifted into, teaching and things of that nature. But I always looked at it as if the problem that I'm trying to solve, I'm going to hit those different areas where every area might not have everybody where they need to be at, right? They might not be all in this one space. But if I put this information out there from a social media aspect, from a digital aspect, and then I have physical copies of my book, you can't say, oh, I did not try to at least solve this problem. My end goal for my career is that I want to at least leave a legacy that somebody else or future social workers or anybody else in this space can build off of and take it even higher. Right. And I also want to be able to say at least I tried to the best of my abilities to affect change at the every level possible. And I'm giving the cool tools. I'm giving the keys to how to do that, how you go about doing it from a non-traditional perspective. But I've always approached social work with a non-traditional approach and also a business mindset. Because the one thing I tell social workers and students, supervisees, we are a brand. We are a business. We can market outside of just a clinical based position, a case manager position. We have so many unique skill sets that we can contract out and just build off of. If you can do 60-minute therapy sessions or you can work through an intervention, you can build out a 1 to 2 hour workshop as a result of that. Right. And so just shifting our mind frame around that from just being just workers and just following through the system, but also attacking the things that are out there from a non-traditional manner because people still need the help. Some folks are not going to just go through the therapist. So how can we create a non-traditional intervention to help meet them where they're at? Can we give them a book? Can we give them a podcast episode? Can we do a summit? Can we do a conversation? Can we do this resource guide? Can we do this thing on social media that they can see that? That's still going to either get that person the help that they need or start the process that happen. And so that's why I kind of approach it from that perspective.
Excellent. And one thing that I was thinking about as you were talking, Trey, is something that I think a lot of people who desire to be an entrepreneur